continues. But if it does shut down, don't worry, it will be good. All right. So let's look at a little piece of Hegseth. I got it to the end. There's lots of good things. I highly recommend you watch the whole thing. Now, if you don't watch it yourself, you're going to listen to some knucklehead out there, and they're going to like tear this up. And you're going to fall into the old trap of going down that bad rabbit hole. Don't do it. Don't do it. All right. Be observant. Don't get emotional, and use critical thinking. We're going to do that mantra over and over again. So, and I'm not trying to, belittle anyone. This is a higher rate of consciousness if you're doing that. Being observant, not getting emotional, doesn't mean that you can't be touched by it in a certain way. You might get a little angry. You might get a little teary-eyed, and that's okay. But don't let emotions rule you. All right. If you have a high emotional quotient, just like a high IQ, EQ, then it's not going to affect you. But if you're like a radical liberal or a radical Islamist, which are the same, then you're going to get highly emotional, like we're seeing, and like we've seen in a lot of these riots and so forth, from George Floyd all the way to now with Antifa in Portland, or the craziness that went on in LA when President Trump, backed ICE, and the police backed ICE, and the National Guard backed ICE, and Marines backed ICE. Now we're seeing Marines also now in Portland. And I can tell you, I like it when Marines are involved, because they don't play. They are like very mission oriented, and they're given a mission. They will carry it out, and they will do it very professionally. But you may see some brutality, because that's what they're up against. So you want to go brutal? Oh boy, we'll send the Marines in, and you'll find out. Right? You want to F around, you're going to find out from the Marine Corps. Yes, you will. And that's the way it's going to play out in a lot of cities, a lot of Democrat hellhole cities, guys. All right. Now we have a lot of, cities that are well run. Maybe one or two of them in the whole country, maybe are Democrat. I doubt it, but maybe. Right. And I'm not like trying to blow smoke up, Republican butt, but, we definitely have a party that is completely and totally compromised. Right. And I've been pushing this and trumpeting this for a long time. For I don't know, 6-7 years, the Democrat Party is going to go away. I'm just incredibly surprised that it's still here. Now, at this point, with 300,000 missing children during the Biden Democrat administration, if you still support the Democrats in any way, shape, or form, you're supporting child trafficking, and you're supporting child trafficking, child rape on a horrific level, children raped to death. Let me make this clear. I know a lot of you don't want to hear this stuff. Democrats don't want to hear this. That's why it continues. That's why Democrats still play Democrat games, Democrat reindeer games. I'm really pissed, right? And I have no more sympathy for Democrats. And they're going to find out. They're going to find out, right? So anyone that comes in and says bad stuff about Hegseth and Trump after this, I don't care who they are, they go to the bottom of my list if I even listen to them ever again, right? So let's listen to the last few minutes of Pete Hegseth's speech. Like I said, there are nuggets within the entire speech, guys.
We are preparing every day. We have to be prepared for war, not for defense. We're training warriors, not defenders. We fight wars to win, not to defend. Defense is something you do all the time. It's inherently reactionary and can lead to overuse, overreach, and mission creep. War is something you do sparingly, on our own terms, and with clear aims. We fight to win.
All right, so This is the offensive mindset that I taught in hand-to-hand. I started the Navy SEALs' first hand-to-hand program. Now, you talk about alpha male knuckleheads. I have my gun. What do I need? Why do I need that hand-to-hand bullshit? You would think that every special forces guy would have incredible hand-to-hand. Everyone thinks that we have or did have incredible hand-to-hand capability. We did not. We didn't have a hand-to-hand course. We had very limited hand-to-hand training in the beginning of our training. And then after that, if you went out on your own and you got some hand-to-hand training, which I did, that's all. So and that was the way it was for all of the services guys. I had all of the services coming, wanting to train with us in our 30-day intensive hand-to-hand course, 30 days straight, 10 hours a day. It was exceptionally intense, right? Back then, we videoed everyone fighting. We were high tech all the way back then in the 90s, guys, when I had my own video camera, all right? I had it for my kids, but I had it, for the training too. It was great. But it was, and then we would put it on the TV and you get to self-critique. So you learned if you had any defensive posturing, and you saw that you were immediately overwhelmed in the fight because it was all offensive fighting. So if you still had defensive actions within you and your thoughts and the way you moved, it showed up and you were taken down almost instantaneously. All right, so offensive mindset. Everything you do in life, if you take an offensive mindset, and that's why I love that the military is now going to the Department of War. That offensive mindset, he's talking about that right here. For most people, especially the wokesters and the, people that, have soy diets and so forth, they're going to cry. They're not going to like this at all. We don't need them around anymore. We need alpha males. We need men badly, and we're going to get them.
Unleash overwhelming and punishing violence on the enemy. We also don't fight with stupid rules of engagement. We untie the hands of our warfighters to intimidate, demoralize, hunt, and kill the enemies of our country. No more politically correct and overbearing rules of engagement. Just common sense, maximum lethality, and authority for warfighters. That's all I ever wanted as a platoon leader. And it's all my E6 squad leaders ever wanted, back to that E6 rule. We let our leaders fight their formations, and then we have their back. It's very simple, yet incredibly powerful.
Very simple, yet incredibly powerful. So leaders are letting the men that train the hardest and the best, the ones that through merit rise up through the ranks, which they both stressed, merit-based. And you're going to hear that from President Trump. I have a clip for that. But both of them, Pete Hegseth did the same, merit-based. Merit-based. Can I say that enough? Not enough, because it's going to start to filter over into the rest of society, right? Merit-based. Into our educational systems, into our corporate systems, and so forth. Because the wokeness that has been taken over and destroying our country and the world is going bye-bye.
A few months ago, I was at the White House when President Trump announced his Liberation Day for America's trade policy. It was a landmark day. Well, today is another Liberation Day. The liberation of America's warriors, in name, in deed, and in authorities. You kill people and break things for a living. You are not politically correct and don't necessarily belong always in polite society. We are not an army of one. We are a joint force of millions of selfless Americans. We are warriors. We are purpose-built, not for fair weather, blue skies, or calm seas. We were built to load up in the back of helicopters, 5 tons, or Zodiacs in the dead of night, in fair weather or foul, to go to dangerous places, to find those who would do our nation harm, and deliver justice on behalf of the American people in close and brutal combat if necessary. You are different. We fight not because we hate what's in front of us. We fight because we love what's behind us.
So that right there, woo, that's monumental. We fight because we love what's behind us. Great speech.
You see, the Ivy League faculty lounges will never understand us, and that's okay, because they could never do what you do. The media will mischaracterize us, and that's okay, because deep down they know the reason they can do what they do is you. In this profession, you feel comfortable inside the violence so that our citizens can live peacefully. Lethality is our calling card, and victory our only acceptable end state. In closing, a few weeks ago, at our monthly Pentagon Christian prayer service, I recited a commander's prayer. It's a simple yet meaningful prayer for wisdom for commanders and leaders. I encourage you to look it up if you've never seen it. But the prayer, it ends like this. And most of all, Lord, please keep my soldiers safe. Lead them, guide them, protect them, watch over them. And as you gave all of yourself for me, help me give all of myself for them.
All right. So yeah, that's pretty stunning. I listened to it before and just like really touched me right there. But that is what we need for leadership, and that connection to source, because that connection to source is what helped me become next level warrior, right? Not a steel trap door around my heart, hard man, but open, loving. I love the people behind me. That's why I go forward and do unbelievable damage to the enemy that no one can comprehend. You can't comprehend what we're capable of. It's unbelievable, right? And the wokesters are going to find out. The wokesters in the United States are going to find out. All right, so that's pretty much where we're at. So on the warrior side. All right, so the political realm, President Trump is taking it next level as well. All right, so before we go there, I want to show you, because Derek Johnson brought up a very good point, and that is Supreme Commander, wartime president, speaking to the 800 generals and admirals. Now, to Derek's credit, he always said there were 800 generals and admirals. He said it a long time ago that were, the good guys. All right, so they've pretty much cleaned out, and they talked about that, how they've cleaned out the military. I thought that was still, maybe it's still an operation that's ongoing, but it sounds like they've got it done, guys. So he says in here, 45, 46, 47. So it's a government in exile. That's what Trump was during the 46, right? But he was still active. We know that. Remember, the Biden administration tried to come down and get the codes to the nukes. They tried to raid Trump's Mar-a-Lago and get the nuke codes. Of course, they didn't leave them behind. We probably knew they were coming, so they got out of there. Biden was the puppet government, civil affairs. Trump was the government in exile. Validation of 45-47. It's a continuation. The dash is a continuation. So here we go. Let's listen to what President Trump says here. So this is within his speech.
These planes, all the companies are testing, and this one tested like through the roof. And they said, we'd like to name it the F-47. I said, all right, let me think about it. Then after thinking for about 2 seconds, I said, okay. That means 47, I'm 47. So I'm 45, 46, and 47, if you think about it. I just don't want the credit for 46. I don't want to have their open borders and people coming in from all over the world, including jails and mental institutes. I don't want that on my record, but I like having it. They're testing all these planes. All the companies are testing, and this one tested like through the roof. And they said, we'd like to name it the F-47. I said, all right, let me think about it. Then after thinking for about 2 seconds, I said, okay. You know what that means, 47, I'm 47. So I'm 45, 46, and 47, yeah, if you think about it. I just don't want the credit for 46. I don't want to have their open borders and people coming in from all over the world, including jails and mental institutes. I don't want that on my record, but I like having it. They're testing all these planes. All the companies are testing it.
All right. So he likes having that credit because he deserves it, obviously. 45, 46, 47. All right. We had heard that the White House was unoccupied. The lights were out for years. We saw that in video. No one seemed to, they turned the lights out early. No, there was no one there, right? And when there were people there, they were refurbishing it. And we saw children coming out of the White House one night from underground bunkers, right? Underground tunnel systems, guys. So there's a lot of cleanup going on in DC during that time frame of 46. All right, so 4 years, that 4 years was you saw just how bad it could be, but the military was still in charge and still involved, right? We saw a lot of, very horrific activity, directed energy weapon use on American cities, hurricanes hammering American cities. But since Trump has been back, it's amazing how those storms just kind of like turn right at the last minute and just head out to sea, isn't it? So somebody has control, evidently, of another weapon system that's overriding the weapon system that is sending those storms at us. So who knows what else is being overridden? The earthquakes that I believe are very high possibility. Now, I predicted all of the storms, and most of those storms have basically gone to sea, right? So that's fantastic. Now, going forward, we're still not out of the hurricane season yet, but I think that we're kind of like, I think we're out of it. I don't think it's going to happen now. I think they've basically hijacked, or they've learned how to stop the weather manipulation. Now, of course, they could still have something up their sleeve, could sneak something in, who knows? You guys might remember several months ago, I was talking about the ships that they had at sea, the former oil tankers, and they were like sending out like this fog and stuff that was causing the hurricanes to form up and so forth. And I pointed it out. Other people pointed it out, but I went hardcore on it. And I said, why aren't they taking those down? Looks like they did. Right. So was it because I pointed it out, or was I noticing it? Who knows? Now, we've all talked about how our consciousness has an effect on our environment. So I believe that through our prayers and through our actions and through our sharing of this information, that is starting to have an effect, right? Starting to have a ripple effect. If I and a bunch of guys like me are come into a place and we're ready to throw down, right? Things are going to change in a room, right? Everybody's going to notice. Here's a bunch of bad hombres. Or we could come in with our wives and our girlfriends or whatever, and we're having a good time and everything's cool. But still everyone knows there's an undercurrent that this isn't a place to screw around, right? And that's the way it was a lot of times for places that we would go. All right, so when you come in with your consciousness, with your mental state, you cause a ripple effect, right? Always. It's always going to happen. So I believe that what we're doing right now with our consciousness is that shift that many of us have talked about for a long time, and people were like, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I think the consciousness shift is happened. We're here. Does that mean that all of the deep state activity is now done because more of us are awakened? No, there's still work to be done until it gets to the point where none of these animals are able to do any of their horrific activities, which could take a long time. Could take another 10 years or whatever. But for the most part, we're going to see it really kick off here, I believe, in the short term. I believe things are really going to get crazy, especially Red October, right? So Red October will be a fiery month, and there's going to be a lot going on. It kicks off. I think into November, the craziness is going to happen. I said long ago that even during Christmas of this year, that, some of us can be, during Christmas time, it doesn't matter if the world is turning upside down. We're still going to, celebrate and have a good time. That's the way I've been. I've spent many Christmases in combat zones, right? Many. Probably most, over half my life has been in combat zones during Christmas and holidays and children's birthdays and all kind of crazy stuff. So I'm used to having being of a certain state of mind in those environments. I will still be in that state of mind, but I feel that it's going to be very difficult, for the next several months. Or for the next several months, it'll be pretty traumatic, right? So you have to be aware of that. What is going to cause that trauma? Most of it's going to be taking down the deep state and the deep state activity and their dying stage, right? The snake's head cut off, but still that thing can bite us. We talked about this for a while. So let's look at some of the things that President Trump said. And let me see, where is that? So I'm going to pull up that again. I don't know why that just keeps going out. I like pull it up, I put it out, and then it disappears. That's the strangest thing. I've done it like 4 or 5 times. Very, very interesting. But yeah, I'll pull it up real quick. So President Trump is blowing away the deep state, right? The deep state is going to lose massively against Trump. So if you haven't seen, it's like a little over an hour Trump war, we'll just call it war speech. It should come up for that. All right. So let me go into my YouTube. Hopefully, I'll just pull up my YouTube because I had it ready on my YouTube channel. That'll make it a lot easier, because if I just pull up another one, I have these time places that it's loaded at. So, all right. So yes, President Trump's, like even my YouTube. That's probably why, because I have an old YouTube channel that I had after all 17 of my other YouTube channels got shut down, and for some reason that channel is up right now. So it just got hijacked and went over to that. We'll see what's going on. All right. So some of the things that Trump talked about while I try and figure this out, what's going on with my YouTube channel, as far as like pulling it up. So obviously it's pulled up here. I'm on it. So there we go. All right. Go to my history. So that last video, if you haven't seen my last 2 videos, they've got like tons of views. Super viral in the last one I did. It's like almost 100,000 views. And the Sheila home is doing exceptionally well. It's probably like almost 50,000 views. So both videos are probably going to do really well going forward. All right, I think I got it now.
It'll also help.
All right, there we go. All right, so let me put it to where I want it. Which it's a totally different video, so it's going to be hard to get this.
Here we are. Here we are. Come to the White House anytime you'd like. No, they've given up. Bad, a lot of bad. Includes our great police officers.
All right, so he's basically going to go into how we're domestically, there's domestic problems, right? And I'm going to skip around so you guys are going to see several different clips, so you get a feel for exactly what he's talking about as far as like we're moving into domestic operations here in the United States. We brought all the troops home for domestic activity. And one of the reasons why I'd love for you guys to see the show that I did with Sheila, because we went paragraph by paragraph by that 1 January 2024 note that went out, and it basically lists all of the problems. Military leaders broke the law, suppressed free exercise of religion, made people get the COVID shot, and so forth. They name names in that. I'll show that in a little bit, but this basically is leading to this calling in the generals. This has never been done before. And it has, of course, they're not going to show everything to the public because Trump has told you early on in his last administration, before he even came into office, he even said that we're not going to like tell you what we're going to do militarily. Because it's like everybody else was saying, well, this is what we're going to do. Like, they're telling all their deep state bubbas in different areas that we're going to come in with our military like this so you can slaughter the hell out of them. All right. So that's not happening. And the military, I tell you, the military is very happy about that. All right. So if we're going to come in, we're going to come in with surprise. We'll come in with violence of action, and we're going to handle the situation very quickly without, with less loss of life, if not complete, nobody getting killed. I've been every mission that I've ever been on, no one's ever been killed. No one's ever been seriously hurt. And, even when I was out of the military, I was working for the State Department for a period of time, protecting Ambassador Bremer in Iraq. And then when I worked for the CIA, no one ever got hurt during the time, every place that I was. And you can probably guess that everybody wanted me to come to their place. Because things turned around. They're ready to shut down some of these locations. There was nothing happening. They couldn't get any information, and I would show up and just like it would be like they'd like build up the station, and there'd be like it'd go from like 2 or 3 of us to like a dozen or dozens of us at the station. After I've been coming there for a couple trips, so it does make a difference when you have war fighters. And war fighters that are on a different level. So again, like I said, I was a war fighter on a different level. And it was because I went through extreme training and extreme, difficulty in life. All right. So it activated me a lot of different ways. So the special forces in the military, that's the 1% of the military. Then I went to SEAL Team 6, Delta, those guys, that's the 1% of the 1%ers. And then I reached the level where I was doing the remote viewing, remote influencing, the intuition and so forth. So like a 1% of the 1% of the 1% guys. So and that's God chosen. I can tell you, that's God chosen stuff. It's pretty impressive. But I think that President Trump, God chosen, of course, there's other people that play President Trump. You can look at this knowing that, yes, this is someone that's playing President Trump. Maybe he didn't want to come out in front of, maybe there's still some military people out there, right, that are still compromised. So they want to put him in jeopardy. I highly believe that's probably one of the major things why he didn't show up there in person, right? So they sent in someone to basically do the speech. He's doing the speech. You know, he doesn't go off on tangents like, you know, the real President Trump does quite often and tells stories and so forth. And then comes back to the teleprompter. He's pretty much on the teleprompter the whole time. And his voice is not as vigorous. It's not as charismatic as President Trump. So I think that's what a lot of people are kind of, the people that are uninformed, that are like the 99%, never reach the 1%, right? Okay. Or of the 1% of the 1%. So you got the 90% guys, former military guys out there talking it, and they aren't talking pretty about it, right? Don't listen to those guys. They're not that informed, all right? So this guy, whoever he is, he's delivering good stuff.
Firemen and all of these people that are doing so well. Together over the next few years, we're going to make our military stronger, tougher, faster, fiercer, and more powerful than it has ever been before. I rebuilt our nuclear, as you probably know, but we'll upgrade that also and just hope we never have to use it. We have to hope we never have to use it, because the power of that is so incredible. I see things I don't think they'd show it to you. I really wouldn't want them to show it to you. But when you see the result of what's left, you never want to use that. Never, never, ever. We were a little bit threatened by Russia recently, and I sent a submarine, nuclear submarine, the most lethal weapon ever made. Number one, you can't detect it. There's no way. We're 25 years ahead of Russia and China in submarines. Russia's actually second.
All right, so the submarines are the most intense fighting thing that's out there, right? If you got good submarines, which you're hearing him say, we're 25 years ahead of them. That's insane. 5, 10, 20, whatever, however many years we're ahead of them. We are ahead of them, right? And when our subs hear the Russian subs out there, they go right to them. They have no idea where our subs are most of the time, right? So he's basically showing you or telling you that we're super advanced and we're going to stay advanced. And there's no one that comes close to us right now.
But it's something we don't ever want to even have to think about. But when somebody mentions it, that submarine started immediately thereafter. And it's just lurking, but I'm sure we're not going to have to use it. But it's an amazing, it's undetectable, totally. Theirs are totally detectable. We can detect them easily. We go right to the spot. But we have genius apparatus that doesn't allow detection. It doesn't allow detection at all by anybody above water or below water. It's incredible. We're way ahead of everybody on that and other things. As a result of the exciting renewal of the spirit of our armed forces, and that's what it is. It's really reaching that spirit, unprecedented heights. Over the past 8 months, new and on the word merit.
So he talked about how the basically the enlistment is through the roof. Now, you remember back in Biden's catastrophic administration, the worst president in the history of the United States. And I'm not just making that up. Absolutely it is. He basically, no one wanted to be in the military, and for damn good reasons. They had pushed everybody to vaccinate. They had wokeism everywhere. There was no merit-based advancement, no merit-based anything. Everyone was abandoning the military as soon as they could. No one wanted to go in the military. And then he went on to say that the Army, the Marines, Navy, Air Force, but especially the Army and the Marines, have more people that have signed up, enlisted than in history. So they met their quota earlier than at any time in the history of the volunteer force. So that's a good sign. And they've raised the standards. Remember, they had to lower the standards because they just couldn't. They said and they blamed it on American, young people because they just weren't in shape. Bullshit. No one wanted to show up, but now people are showing up and they're raising standards everywhere. So it doesn't matter. Both Hegseth and Trump both said it doesn't matter your gender. If you have the merit, you can do the job, then you'll be selected. But for the most part, some positions, some people will never be selected, and they say, men and women, because that's the truth of it. I've served with great women in the past, but I'm very skeptical there could ever be a Navy SEAL woman, although we can joke about it and have fun with it, maybe someday, but we'll see. I would say you'd have to lower the standard somewhere, because you have to be a hook of a guy to go through, and you have to have, lots of stuff going on that women just don't have. And now the same thing with men and women's sports. I think that's ridiculous. It's bullshit. Men are in women's sports. Men need to stand up and turn that complete travesty around. Right. So that's where men need to get involved. We need the alpha males to get involved in that and really start to make that happen. We have the backing for that with President Trump now. So that's a good sign.
Merit. So those two words are right up there. So this is, I would say, the opposite of you ask for a definition, the opposite of political.
So he said merit and tariffs. I cut it just to that point, but he's focused on merit. But he loves tariffs, he says. Tariffs have given us incredible amounts of money. Now, he's also said we're making so much money, and this used to be the way it was in the past, that we'll do away with income tax, right? We're going to do away with income tax. We're going to do away with property tax. Your property tax is basically Americans being stolen from, right? All those bond programs that property taxes pay for are all money laundering schemes for the deep state guys.
Correctness. We went through political correct, where you had to have people that were totally unfit to be doing what you're doing for many reasons. I won't get into them. But for many reasons, they were unfit.
I mean, you can tell it in his voice. It's not Trump. So don't get all like silly about, it's not Trump. It doesn't mean anything. No, it's absolutely means something, because Trump can always be in these positions where there's potential threat, right?
Now, it's all based on merit. That was such an unbelievable decision. I didn't expect we were going to win that one. We went in. We said we need it. We went in for colleges, where kids with a C average are getting into the best colleges, and the kids with A averages won't get in, and kids with the highest boards and the highest.
So he's basically showing that merit-based society, which we're moving into now, which it used to be that way always, is back. It's not just for the military, it's also for the educational system, and it's going to be for everything. So this is very, very exciting right there. Now, let me move it up to this other spot. There's several great spots here.
Defending the homeland is the military's first and most important priority. That's
defending the homeland. So he's going to go into it. He's already said it a few times in here, and then he goes into a little bit of detail here. Because when he was talking about the firemen, he was talking about how firemen are going up ladders and getting shot at. Now, I would do a shout out to all firemen in all fire departments right now. You need to get somebody, ideally several people, that are skilled in weapons. And I'm sure there's plenty of them. There already are. But you need to get it past that you're not wearing it on your person. You don't want to run into a fire with all your equipment, because you don't want to get those rounds hot, have them going off on your hip, right? So, but on the fire truck itself should be weapon systems in secure locations, and you should have several firemen, women, whatever, that are very well trained in how to use those weapons. And so if you come under fire, which you will, you've already come under fire. Now, I've seen in a lot of places where the firemen won't go into a fire if they don't have police support, right? And that's still probably the way it's going to be if it's a really hot area. But not all the time are you going to know that it's a hot area. So sometimes you're not going to be able to wait for the police to show up. Everybody will be dead, right? So you need to have people in the fire department, and every time you roll out, there should be someone trained or more, several people, I believe, that are trained in the use of firearms. There should be a firearm in the fire truck, right? And you really need to take that on board, right? And I think that should be an easy pass in city councils and so forth, because don't wait for the shit to hit the fan the way it's going to hit the fan, guys. It's already being demonstrated that it's happening. And President Trump talked about it. And the reason I think that he talked about it is because that's another reason why we need the military into these environments.
What it is. Only in recent decades did politicians somehow come to believe that our job is to police the far reaches of Kenya and Somalia, while America is under invasion from within. We're under invasion from within.
What can be more clearer than that? We're under invasion from within. Sworn to protect foreign Americans from foreign and domestic enemies. The enemy is within. We've been saying this for a long time now. And now it's going to come into play.
No different than a foreign enemy, but more difficult in many ways because they don't wear uniforms. At least when they're wearing a uniform, you can take them out. These people don't have uniforms. But we are under invasion from within. We're stopping it very quickly. After spending trillions of dollars defending the borders of foreign countries, with your help, we're defending the borders of our country from now on with my crew. I haven't done that. In theory, I wouldn't do it. And I felt totally safe. And nobody's been attacked. Nobody's been hurt. Washington.
So he's talking about Washington, D.C. What happened in Washington, D.C.? It's been deteriorating for decades. It's a cesspool of, robberies, murders, all kinds of corruption. And they brought in the military, and within a couple of weeks, basically everything was locked down, guys. National Guard came in. Of course, the Democrats cried and threw temper tantrums all over the country. The press went wild. And bottom line is the people of D.C. are very happy after a month. So after 2 weeks, pretty much everything was quieted down. Now they're cleaning the streets up. It's incredible. Now, it's not going to happen that quick in a lot of other cities. D.C. is a small place. You look at Chicago, you look at L.A. L.A. is still raging right now, guys, even though the military's been in there for a while. There's a lot of people for them to, get out of there. But that work started already, and it's been ongoing for months now. In Chicago's going to be destroyed. Chicago's going to be destroyed. It's already being destroyed, but it's going to go next level. Some places, maybe not, but for a great extent, Chicago is going to be destroyed.
D.C. went from our most unsafe city to just about our safest city in a period of a month. We had it under control in 12 days, but give us another 15, 16 days. It's perfect. And people other than politicians that look bad, they think, the Democrats run most of the cities that are in bad shape. We have many cities in great shape too, by the way. I want you to know that. But it seems that the ones that are run by the radical left Democrats, what they've done to San Francisco, Chicago, New York, Los Angeles, they're very unsafe places. And we're going to...
So he's telling you the cities that are going to go down. Those cities are going to be destroyed. If you're in those cities, you need to get out, right? So stay at your own peril. You've been warned. All right, so popping it up a little bit here.
Service member who has helped us carry out this critical mission. It's really a very important mission. And I told Pete, we should use some of these dangerous cities as training grounds for our military, National Guard.
All right, so here's where the wokester military are going to come in and hammer that. I've already seen it, right? When I heard that, I'm like, Oh, the wokesters are going to go high order on that. They're going to use that right there out of context and blow that up into massive bullshit flag. Right. So he's kind of joking around, but he's saying, I mean, the training that I went through in the military, guys, when I did go into combat zones, I was like, is this it? All right. So some of these guys are going to get some good training because they're going to be in real combat zones, and we'll see how good their training is. We'll see how well they survive. Some of them won't.
But military, because we're going into Chicago very soon. That's a big city with an incompetent governor, stupid governor, stupid. They threw him out of his family business. He was so stupid. I know the family. He becomes governor. He's got money.
So here you have governors and mayors of the Democrat Party, which is basically completely compromised. You have to just understand they're completely compromised. They work for the deep state completely. Yes, there are Republicans, rhinos that do the same. There's probably a very small percentage. I've said this over and over again for several years of political party people that are good. Now, can some of them turn around? Have some of them been corrupted? Yes. Can some of them turn around? Yes. Some of them have done crimes to the point where even if they turn around, they're still going to have to pay for those crimes. All right. But in the meantime, if we do have some that turn, so we can say, yeah, the Democrat Party as a whole is going away, but some that are in that party still, and some that have been placed, I think a lot of them at this point have been placed to play certain roles. Not a lot of them, but certain ones have been placed to play certain roles, right? So we're going to see some of those roles start to come into fruition. They were put there a while ago, and just like, the deep state knuckleheads, they insert somebody and they say, wait till you get the go. It could be years. It could be decades before they get their go signal. All right. So we're going to get people activated on both sides here pretty soon. All right. So it's going to be very interesting going forward because the Democrat hellhole cities are going to be like Gavin Newsom, who's Hochul in New York, and a lot of these other, like Houston, probably Dallas. A lot of these cities are going to go through some hell. But in Texas, you have a lot of gun toters, and you have people with boots, shit kickers, that are going to come in and put that boot where it belongs. Put that boot where it's going to hurt a lot, right? And make people run away crying, right? So that's a good thing. Bullets to make people go away is never a good thing, but in some cases we're going to see that. We're going to see that on probably a pretty significant scale because the Democrats keep their narrative of Nazis and so forth. So then those people that have been MK Ultra'd and some, unfortunately, some of these military types that have been, brainwashed as well, Manchurian candidate types, which I think we just saw one in Utah, or not Utah, in Michigan in that church. We're going to see more of that. All right. So the left will say, look at all these right wingers, but it's basically these poor military guys that were very susceptible. They look through all of us. They try and find us. I was definitely not one, and they compromise them. Right. I've seen some people over the years in lots of different capacities that I was like, that mofo is brainwashed. That's a Manchurian candidate waiting to happen right there. All right. So you start to see that stuff, and some of us call it out. Some of us have called it out. Like that one Muslim major, they basically took that gun and killed all those guys. And I think it was Fort Irwin in Texas, one of those bases in Texas, and they're getting ready to execute him. So we're going to see more executions coming up because President Trump is going to sign an order legalizing executions for extreme case military types again. So all those people like Comey and whoever plays Hillary Clinton or whatever, you're going to see treason charges come down. You're going to see them go through a military tribunal, and you're going to probably see a lot of them, get the full measure, right? All the way. So that's what's coming for a lot of this. That's why this military is being activated. As you're seeing, this is wide open. I hope this is becoming very clear for you. This is very important, right? You're going to have a lot of detractors. Some of them well-meaning, just don't have a clue. They're going to talk trash. Of course, you'll have some of them will be deep state puppets, and some of them will be, basically, we're targeting you. We're activating you to go target this narrative, and do your press stuff and get everything going, and your Jimmy Kimmel talk shows and all your stuff, and get it out there. Get it out there. We need to stop this. So that's what we're seeing, guys.
Not money that he made, but he ran for governor, he won, and now he criticizes us all the time. And last week they had 11 people murdered, 44 people shot. The week before that, they had 5 people murdered, 28 people shot.
Yet they come in and all these places say we're good. Chicago, we're good. New York, we're good. Portland, we're good. We don't need you. That's completely obviously false, right? And that's being pointed out. I guess it's pointed out as much as they can to people, but it's an ongoing process. It takes time.
That says you got to do what you have to do. I put that out the other day. You got to do what you got to do, because we don't want our people hurt as they stand by. I was watching during Biden, there were troops standing up like this, brave, standing up at attention, the way I should stand all the time. And I'm like this, and people are standing, and their mouth is this far away from their mouth, and they're spitting at them, and they're screaming at them. And that soldier standing there, he wants to knock the hell out of the person, but he's not allowed to do anything. So they just stand there and they get abused. And a woman was this far away from his face, and she starts spitting in his face, and he's not allowed to do anything. If it's okay with you, generals and admirals, I've taken that off. I say, they spit, we hit. Is that okay? I think so. They spit,
we hit. So that's basically assault. And at some point, you can even call it battery. Now, assault is an intentional act that puts another person in reasonable apprehension of imminent, harmful, or offensive contact, or a violent attack itself. Common law, historically, assault involves an act that causes a reasonable fear of an immediate, harmful, or offensive contact. So someone that, is raising a brick to throw it, and they're looking at you, and they're starting to, wind up, and that's an assault, right? So you can move in and go after someone like that. Someone that's swinging a bat at you, someone that is about to, crack a bottle over your head. These are all things that we've seen that, unfortunately, police have had to put up with. So it's moving into the level where President Trump and Pete Hegseth is going to have the back of the people that are going to, basically stop a lot of this violence that's happening out there. So I'm going to show you guys some videos of that. Now, the battery is knowingly or recklessly causing bodily harm to another person, or knowingly causing physical contact with another person when done in a rude, insulting, or angry manner. Spitting on someone is basically battery. You don't know if that person has some kind of sickness. So it could be, battery with intent to cause harm, or attempt to cause death, or, if they're sick and you find out that they're sick and they spit on you and they get arrested, and then you find out they do a test on them and they got some kind of, bad disease, then that's battery or assault with intent to kill. All right. So that's all a different category. So yeah. So we're taking it to another level. They spit, we hit, right? So that's what rules of engagement. Unfortunately, when I was overseas in Iran, Afghanistan, not Iran, but Iraq, Afghanistan, Beirut, a lot of other places, Libya, rules of engagement basically limited what most of the military could do. But those of us in the CIA, we basically had the backing and the carte blanche to use extreme force, physical force, if we saw fit. Of course, we're top of the totem pole as far as training and backgrounds and so forth. So that was good. We were able to have that, know that backing, knowing that backing. Gave us a lot of leeway. Of course, we're not putting ourselves in a position to, have to use deadly force. But if we needed to, we could. So Trump and Hegseth are giving that, whatever force is necessary. All right. So there are rules of engagement guidelines where you use deadly force. Right. So if someone is like pushing you, you don't pull out your gun and shoot them. Right. You would use force. You would basically pretty much take them down. So they've made contact with you. No one would get to that point. They would start to move. They would start to get close to moving on me. They would make the action of moving on me, and then it would be like lights out. Right. So now I've taken a lot of people down, over the years, and I've cuffed them, flex cuffs, handcuffs, whatever. I've trained in martial arts, grappling, Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, you name the martial art, I'm pretty much trained in it, right? I can projectile, a knife fight, I can improvise weapons, I can do open hand, I can poke you in the eye, crush your throat, snap your neck, you name it, I can do all that. But have I had to do that? No, because I know how to I see violence in someone and I take them down. That's high level of training. Now, most people, unfortunately, don't have that. They see a little bit of aggression and then they take it to the next level. They become even more aggressive. And then that person is basically has to go to the next level. I try and take it down a notch. But it doesn't always work that way, right? So I have lots of tools in my toolbox where I can control someone, or I can hurt them very badly, or I could take them, out of this world. So why would I take somebody out of this world? Why would you take somebody out of the world? Because your life is in direct threat and you have to react. Otherwise you die. Or someone in your team would die. So if I'm in a position where, I see someone in the process of, in the movement of pulling a gun, mine's going to come out and boop, 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 boop. And it's over that quick. If someone is coming at me, now I did this with some people. I've tried this with so many people. So a lot of police think that if someone is far away from you, you're safe. So I would say, how far away do you feel safe? And they were like, I would go 2 arms length away. And then I'd say, you feel you're safe? And then I would come up on them and snap their neck before they could move. All right. Or draw their weapon. And then I would say, okay, pull your gun. I'm going 21 feet away. Pull your gun when you see me coming at you with my knife. Right. So at 21 feet, I'd pull my knife out and start running at them. Before they get their gun out, I'd be on them and kill them. 21 feet, guys. So this is not a game for, people like just let's go out there and see how we can get involved here. Don't mess around with this stuff. That's why we want the military to come in and do this job. They're trained for this and they have the background to do this. All right. So let me see. There's a couple more that I want to show you with President Trump. I think I've done 27, 20, 30. Let's do this one. And this was about 3 minutes, so we'll watch this for about 3 minutes, and I'll talk about this one.
There'll be no fishing today, but it's amazing what strength will do, because all we want to do is stop drugs from flowing into our country. It's destroying. We lost 300,000 people died last year. Everybody knows friends, many friends probably, that you lost a child, or adults too, but you lost a son or daughter because of what's coming into our border. And we're making it very hard. Oh, and we haven't even started yet. Last month, I signed an executive order to provide training for a quick reaction force that can help quell civil disturbances. So this is going to be a big thing.
All right. So quick reaction forces, military quick reaction forces are going to start to be activated. They're going to be in standby. We're already seeing activated in Portland, right? So more of these are going to start to be activated within the big cities. He's already told you he's going to Chicago, and there'll be other, San Francisco, New York, many other bad cities. It's funny, whenever I do one of these shows, people are like, come to Indianapolis, come to, where all these different cities. There's a lot of work to do out there, isn't there?
For the people in this room, because it's the enemy from within, and we have to handle it before it gets.
So again, he keeps reiterating the enemy within, the domestic terrorists, the enemy within. You're going to continue to hear this. And as they start to put more troops into Democrat hellhole cities.
Out of control. It won't get out of control. Once you're involved at all, they all joke. They say, oh, this is not good. You saw it in Washington. We had gangs of Tren de Aragua with 10, 12, 15 kids. And these military guys walk up to them, and they treat them with disrespect, and they just got pounded. They just got pounded. The gang just pounded, then thrown into paddy wagons and taken back to their country. Some are so dangerous, we don't want to even do that, because we don't want to, some of stone cold murders, we don't have the confidence, even though they're not coming back very easily, we don't have the confidence, we put them in jails. But these service members are following in a great and storied military tradition, from protecting frontier communities to chasing outlaws and bandits in the Wild West. And our history is filled with military heroes who.
So here he's telling you that this has happened in the past. This is not new. He's not doing something out of context. So he's educating here.
On all enemies, foreign and domestic. You know that phrase very well. That's what the oath says, foreign and domestic. Well, we also have domestic. George Washington, Abraham Lincoln, Grover Cleveland, George Bush, and others all used the armed forces to keep domestic order and peace. Many of our leaders used the military to keep peace. Now they like to say, oh, you're not allowed to use the military. And you know what the people say? The people in those cities where they're being raped and shot and beat up, you know what they say? We love the military. You ever see where they interview the people on the street? I've never seen somebody say they don't, unless they're radical and paid off, because a lot of these insurrectionists are paid by, whether it's Soros or other people, but they're paid by the radical left. So today I want to thank every service member, from general to private, who has bravely helped us secure the nation's capital and make America safe for the American people. It's amazing. The whole world is watching. Everybody in the White House, they come up to me, young women, sir, thank you. I know immediately what they're thinking. They don't have to say it. They walk to work now to the White House. We haven't had a crime in Washington in so long.
All right. So he's telling you the world is watching. So the world is going to learn. We've talked about this for years, guys. The world is going to see how we handle this, and we are going to handle it. It's pretty impressive what's going on. So I think a lot of you guys are seeing this. Now let's look at some of the other things that are going on out there. Now we've seen the Democrats come in and basically destroy the military. I can tell you, I was in the Clinton. I was fortunate to have Reagan. He turned everything around. Brought back pride. Brought back military was funded again. We started getting good gear. We didn't have to buy it ourselves. It was crazy. And then Clinton came in, and every time a Democrat comes in, they cut our pay. It was like, okay, here we go. We're not going to get it. We're not going to get the good gear. They're going to cut our pay, and they're going to work the hell out of us. They're going to use us like no one else does. Right. And that's what Clinton did. That's what Obama did. And that's what O'Biden did. All right. Biden. All right. So it's a shit show when the Democrats come in, guys, for the military. It really sucks. It's great to have President Trump in. He said that he's going to give them a pay raise, 3.8% pay raise. So well-deserved, and hopefully he'll be able to continue that pay raise, because I promise you they've been doing without for a while, right? So that's one of the tough things when you're military. You don't get really good pay unless you're in the special programs like I was, but still, it's not enough. It's not enough, right? So every military family, if you have a family, if you're just a single guy like I was for most of my career, it's not so bad. But with a family, it's a struggle. It's a struggle, right? So all those guys and gals out there that have families, those are the ones you really need to tell them, how much you appreciate them. All right, so let's look at some of the things that are going on in some of these cities like Portland, and how the Marines are coming in and hammering down. This should have happened in Portland so long ago, and now it's starting.
Assaulting the Portland ICE facility, and here come the troops. Oh, they got that guy. Oh, they're taking him in. Oh, that wasn't part of your plans now, was it, guys? Oh, you didn't think you were going to get arrested. Oh, he's fighting. He does not want to go inside the facility. Well, at first he did, but he wanted to go in with all of his friends, and now he's getting to go in by himself. More than one person needed to get carried into the facility. Why don't they have the energy to walk inside the facility? They have the energy to attack federal troops. That doesn't make any sense. Look at all the rioters, though. It's like a nonstop mob here. And look at this. It never takes a break. Night and day, you've got the radicals out here. Look at them. They will not move. They are altercating with these federal agents. Look at them. Look at them getting right in their faces. This is terrible. Well, that guy's not getting anybody's face for at least the next 30 minutes, that's for sure. Look at how awful this is. They're putting themselves in the way of federal agents to just try and get a rise out of them.
Okay, so one of the things that's happened here is Antifa has made the call out for all the Antifa members to come to Portland to fight, right? So Portland is going to be destroyed. It's already been destroyed. I remember when I first came to the Navy, I was a hardhead diver, and I was on a sub-rescue ship, and the sub-rescue ship went up the river to Portland, and we had a great time there. Such a great time. We went back and spent a month there before I went through SEAL training. Beautiful city. Voted, I think, like once or twice the most beautiful city in America. The Portland Rose Festival, the roses and the hills and beautiful homes. There was a guy that was going through, the Naval Academy. So the midshipmen basically, their last year or the year before their last year, they go out on the ships. So one of those guys was from a very well-to-do family. So we became good buds because he knew I was going to SEAL training. He wanted to become SEAL too. So he took me. His dad was a dentist. They had a beautiful home. So I got to, go in this beautiful home. I've never been in such a nice home before in my life at that point. So, hanging out with him, he showed me around Portland. I went back there, like I said, for another month. It was great time. Beautiful city. But I went back there, I think about 10 years ago, and it all changed. And of course, it's gone downhill much more now. Absolute shithole. Antifa headquarters. It's a mess, guys. So you have to have the military basically come in, and it's invaded. It's invaded. You can imagine it as having been invaded by an enemy, and it has to be retaken. That's what we have in some of these cities, right? in a lot of these cities, unfortunately, some of them more than others. All right. So they've been invaded. A deep state is basically running them. Illegal activities, they make money. These politicians make money. Corrupt judges, corrupt cops, all kind of crazy stuff. They drive all the good people out, and we have to retake these cities. So you got the Marines in there, basically, taking the city back. Storming the beach there where the river, meets the city. And I always wanted to go there, see why the Naval Academy cadets were so good, because all the Navy Academy guys we got were like badass. So I think that the academies really, really do a good job of training future officers. Not all of them, but I would say 95 to 99%. So very, very high level. So I remember after 9/11, you guys remember me talking about, I told the 3-star admiral there that we need to really beef up security here because I think there's going to be an attack. And then we have 9/11. It was only then. So my whole career, people knew that I was a Navy SEAL. No one ever said thank you. I didn't expect people to say thank you. I wasn't in it for thank yous, right? But it was only then, after 9/11, that people would come up to me and say thank you for your service, right? So a lot of you are going to be thanking the military for their service coming up, all right? A lot of you, all right? Don't wait. Start now. So it's going to get pretty shitty out there. It's already shitty. You can see it right here. This is just the beginning. So deep state is not going to go away easy in the night, right? They will resist. They will fight. In the meantime, we have the potential of earth changes going on, right? So let me do a real quick one on this one, and then I gotta go. I'm doing a military group show. You'll probably see this on the site in a day or two. But so we're a bunch of military guys. We get together and we talk about what's going on. Boy, I got a lot to share tonight. So, all right. So this is Stefan Burns. He's basically a great guy. So you see Northern Lights back behind him. I've been up into Canada. I've seen the Northern Lights. They're absolutely phenomenal. And that's basically energy coming into the earth. So there's been a lot of energy coming into the earth, and it's building up, and it's getting released here and there. But I think we're going to see some very significant activity coming up.
Geophysicist Stefan Burns here. Breaking news, in fact, a ton to report today because there is a lot happening energetically. We just got out of a G3 geomagnetic storm. The storming is still going, but that big pulse of G3 activity, which is a strong geomagnetic storm, that has come to a close.
So that energy comes into Earth, electrical energy comes into Earth, basically builds up, and then it gets released. And it gets released in earthquakes and volcanoes and hurricanes and so forth.
After that occurred, we had a magnitude 6.9 earthquake strike the Philippines. And now, just within an hour as I'm recording this, we just had a magnitude 6.0 earthquake strike Indonesia near the island of Bali. So 2 big earthquakes hit Southeast Asia today. And well, that's one of the things I talked about in yesterday's live stream as to.
So now this is the problem going back for hundreds, thousands of years. There were groups that watched this type of activity. They could project and predict when there were going to be major earth change activity. That has been suppressed and stopped out. There's so many people now in the scientific community that are programmed to discount this, right? So this is bad because we in the past have been able to, like I said, know when earth change activity was coming and then, get ready for it. Today, most people are going to find out the hard way. And that's what's happening now. Like I've said, there's going to be, I believe, very, very significant earth change activity.
How these sort of geomagnetic fluctuations can induce very powerful electric currents in Earth's surface. And if those hit faults that are at critical stresses, that could be an agent of destabilization, and then we get that rupture. Seems that's exactly what happened today. At least there is a clear connection in time between this G3 geomagnetic storm, the main phase of it, and then the earthquakes. And in addition to that, sunspots are still exploding on the sun. We're around 190, 200. We have some big sunspots that will soon be Earth facing direct in the next day or two. And that's a transit that will last all the way through about October 3rd, when we have that close approach of 3I Atlas to Mars. We also just had a big plasma filament blast off from the southwest limb of the sun that does not appear Earth directed, but like we saw back in March 28th, 2025, where we had this big X-class flare and coronal mass ejection launched from the sun that corresponded with the magnitude 7.7 earthquake in Myanmar. There was an aftershock. There was a 6.6 and a 6.2 earthquake that also struck a spreading ridge in the ocean. It seems that we get these sometimes spikes in activity that are not only reflected here on Earth, but also across the solar systems, primarily with the sun. So that's what's happened today. Big solar activity, big geomagnetic activity, and big earthquake activity. All that and more in today's video. Now, before we get into it, I have two.
All right. So it's coming. So now what's coming? That's what a lot of us have been talking about. A lot of us being people that understand this energy, watch this energy, feel this energy, and are predicting a lot of the stuff. Now, the manipulation is one thing, where these energies come in, and then you have the deep state Bubba's basically taking that energy and directing it the way they want to and causing death and mayhem. But on another level, there is the natural energies that are coming in. And will they be used by the deep state to cause more damage than we would normally see? I think that we are basically on that verge of that possibility, right? Now, the deep state can bump it up, but they're not the main reason why we're having this activity, obviously. This activity, like I talked about, has been, prophesied, and some people feel the energies coming in. And then there is, like Stefan Burns, there's people in the past which have very accurately calculated when these energies were coming in, because you've seen like stone stone circles and so forth. I believe a lot of those were used at one point to determine why would they be put there to begin with. And some people say, well, they look at the stars and they can determine when to plant the crops and all that kind of stuff. So that's very lame, right? That was very significant, stone circles. And some of those stones, you see, 20, 30 feet above ground, you're almost the same below ground, guys. And then you don't see all the stuff they used to have paintings on them, and they would hang crystals and all kind of stuff on them. You don't see those anymore, but there were, multiple reasons why they did that. One of them, I believe, was so that those stone circles actually calmed, just like the pyramids. It's been shown that some of the pyramids that were torn down, there were massive problems within storm systems that would start to happen again, that they saw that had happened in the past long ago. So some of these pyramids were made to basically control a lot of these crazy activities. And we see these pyramids all over the earth. There's like thousands of pyramids all over the earth, guys. And some of them have been, discovered over time. And some of them still haven't been. So a lot of these pyramids, I believe, were put in place to basically calm the energies that would come at certain times. They're placed in specific, energy points of the earth to calm those energies and, reconfigure the energy so that would cause damage. Obviously, that technology, the knowledge of that has been lost for the great extent. And then you have the idiots that come in and basically, on purpose or just because they've been trained to be idiots or whatever, probably a combination, they discount these energies that are coming in and how they flow along fault lines, how they flow along energy lines and all that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of stuff that's coming at us. So we need to like educate ourselves very quickly here. And that's what I've been trying to do for years. It's a tough go. Just like, figuring out the deep state. Everybody's focused on the deep state, but we may have something else that's coming that we probably should be, at least giving a little bit of attention to, actually a lot of attention, to tell you the truth. Now I've seen a lot of this. Some people have said 100-foot tsunamis hitting the west coast of the United States. I think it's a possibility of a lot higher. All right. That doesn't mean that you can be 3 miles inland at 1,000 feet, where I think we're going to get a 1,000-footer, and it's going to be 1,000 feet in. No, you're going to probably be hit by earthquake activity, right? Earthquake activity. So we'll get probably one fault zone off the coast, get crack hard, build a tsunami up. Now, like I said, if you're far inland on high grounds, you're good. So where I'm at, about 8,000 feet, where I'm at, I'm way above you, all the way down on the lake level. I wouldn't want to be down there because there's a fault line that runs right through Lake Tahoe. So fault line after fault line is going to get activated because they're way overdue for being releasing energy. So that means the energy's been building up for a long time and it's reaching critical level. And now we have all this energy coming in from the sun, right? So I think that, there's possibly Lake Tahoe is going to slosh. So, I've talked about how years ago, I was talking about how I was going to have to run up the hills, right? That was on the South Lake side. I'm on the North Lake side now. I'm pretty good where I'm at, I think. If not, then I can jump in my car or run up the hill very quickly, very easily, and get an even higher ground, super high ground. So if it goes like over 9,000 feet, oh well, so we're all doomed. But I don't see that lake right there sloshing to that level. I see it sloshing, probably taking out some of the homes along the lake, of course, and then sloshing to the point where it goes down the Tahoe River and even taking out Reno. So I've heard that from other psychics that have told me that, and they encourage me to continue to warn people because they see similar activity that I do, right? So there you go. It's not easy doing this work because you get criticized, but hey, I'm a tough guy. So anyway, you can discount it if you want, but maybe you're part of the consciousness that doesn't carry forward. Because I think part of this is for those that are lower level consciousness, like we're seeing in Portland, basically don't carry forward. And that could be part of, that being taken out. So, and that's happened in many, many cases in the past. All right. So that's all I got to share for now. Like I said, I got another show coming up. Stay in the love vibration. And I'll see you guys next time.